Megan Thee Stallion's self-titled third album is out. It marks her first album under her own independent label after a very contentious relationship with her previous labels, 300 Entertainment and 1501 Certified. Megan is an interesting record as she continues her evolution as an artist with an unexpected slant towards her love of anime. It's a pointed but uneven record that explores her psyche. It's part victory lap, part sigh of relief. She's truly been through the ringer, and overcoming all of that trauma is probably why this album's so heavy, but also free. I'm breaking my structure rules because if you're here, you know who Megan Thee Stallion is. In just a few years, she's gotten multiple #1s on the Hot 100, 3 Grammys, including Best New Artist, Best Rap Song and Performance for Savage, and even a short cameo in Marvel's She-Hulk. But with all of that good comes some challenges. Megan occasionally forgoes the self-empowering hot girl summer energy of her earlier works to really exercise some demons, most notably her legal battle with Tory Lanez, who was sentenced to prison last year for shooting and wounding Megan in her feet back in 2020. The 3-year legal debacle outright was nasty, with Megan receiving much of the brunt of the criticism and being the butt of many diss tracks. You can tell that Megan's sort of a revenge record in a sense. She's celebrating, surviving, but also being vindicated by the law. 2023 was also a pretty contentious year because it saw her finally leave her label 1501 Certified Entertainment after many issues in 2020 over the rights to release music and misunderstandings over the legal verbiage of their contract. Something for the Hotties, a project in 2021, was not considered an album due to its length as per the label's definition, something that Megan actually sued for. In 2022, tensions rose to the point that Megan was openly calling them out while releasing her second record, Traumazine, alluding to an end to that contract. After a deposition and many negotiations, Megan was formally released in October of that year. Megan would elect to forego a label, deciding to open her own label, Hot Girl Productions, her own production team and label, though she would sign a deal with Warner Music Group that would allow her much needed resources while letting her retain her masters in publishing. Though Megan definitely is an independent album through and through, Megan Thee Stallion herself said so in an Instagram live, saying that it was self-funded. You can tell that there was a budget. Just a really quick promo cycle recap. Megan's promo cycle started all the way back in October with Cobra, which would debut in the top 40. The track set up the snake motif of the record and was more rock rap. The music video shows her rapping while stuck in a glass box surrounded by the press. I wasn't really a big fan of the song initially until I saw how vulnerable that she got on the track, being able to talk about grieving both of your parents while being cheated on by an ex in just one track is crazy, let alone being able to make a banger out of that. But the big hit that we all have to talk about that I purposefully ignored because of the drama was Hiss, her first solo #1 smash hit that also took the global Hot 100 top spot. Hiss drew many controversies just for taking swings at everyone from Tory Lanez to Drake, who dissed her back in 2022 on Circo Loco. Most infamously, her beef with Nicki Minaj with the Megan's Law line. Hiss is probably one of the most interesting days to be on Twitter, like the release day was insane. The final single, Boa, dropped in May, which I felt was a little too late to capitalize off the power of Hiss. This track samples What You Waiting For by Gwen Stefani, and it felt like a hint towards the album's more eclectic, oddly Japanese-inspired style. Overall thoughts. My first note on the record is Megan's fixation on anime. It's a clear influence on the record, and probably the first time I've seen a mainstream rap artist really integrated in a significant way beyond aesthetics. Some of you will come for me in the comments, I'm not really a rap listener, but I had to cover Megan because I did see her live and she was amazing. From the lyricism to visuals to getting the voice actor to do an intro to Otaku Hot Girl, even though that was a Twitter clip, Megan's not a poser. Her love for the genre is real. It shocks me how much it carries through the record just because I think it's part of the ethos of the record. The record's ethos seems to be focused on reintroducing us to Megan, the cover art and emphasis on butterfly imagery as seen on the amazing Hot Girl Summer Tour, which I attended, speaks to her metamorphosis. I think that going independent has lent her this narrative that she's finally her truest self, which in itself automatically does make the record a success because very few artists get the chance to really release something that's 100% them. Megan's extremely vulnerable on this record. It's pretty consistent. If you're not a fan of hers, this record is not interested in making you a fan. In many ways, this feels like a proper refinement of the music that she's been making before. I thought that there would be more experimentation considering her label drama, but she remains focused on her strengths, which is her delivery and her wordplay. wordplay. I think Megan has such a good lock and key with the formula of what works for her that occasionally a few of the songs end up blending together. It really is tracks like Paper Together that feature a few variations and a dedication to trap and the Southside subgenres that have essentially defined her work. In terms of features, I was actually impressed that most, if not all of them, actually did work. The harmonies and the melodies on this feel like a vast improvement over Traumazine, which I felt was a little bit disappointing, but it was clear that was because of some label drama. Worthy, another highlight of mine, gives us a properly pop track that's more akin to early Lizzo, but still distinctly Megan in that she uses her whole arsenal. She's really committed to a new sound. I found that when Megan used guitars in production, she really caught my attention. Rock rap is a good place for her. My biggest complaint about the record has to be its track listing. I get that streaming has altered the way we consume music and how artists lay out their records, but 18 tracks is a little too much. I don't think that there's any clear chops, but I do think that she could have pared it down, maybe 5 or so tracks for a deluxe version down the line to reawaken interest in the record. Though the fact that she's able to just release whatever she wants, whenever, is kind of a flex. The record is satisfying, but it's still uneven. The placement of Cobra at the very end is perfection because it more or less reminds us this is an identity record. It's really Megan embracing all of the good and bad elements of herself and her craft. I've survived, I'm here to stay is the clear statement. And now a very brief track by track. Hiss remains perfection. The spoken word intro where she pretty much calls out all her critics, mostly men in her own field. It really does work as an intro. What precedes is a rapid fire 100 quips a minute diss track. I could go on and list everything I loved about this track, like referencing Mariah's iconic Obsessed to the hand on the Bible during the court case. There's swings at her ex Partisan Fontaine. There's a diss against a baby, her point about how everybody talking shit about her is free promo. The in my feelings line nailing Drake. And of course that iconic Megan's Law line. Though my favorite line has to be when she plays with G being for goofy or groupie rather than gangster. The interlude gives her a break before she just goes back in it. She's a Teflon Don of the courtroom, calling out Drake for getting a BBL. She's a main girl, not a little sis. Her fans are real, not bots. She's going 300 in here. Even in the outro, she's bringing up J-Pay and conjugal visits because she's won. Rattle continues that sort of snake metaphor. This one's another dirty takedown that pretty much sees her realize a friend of hers was an enemy the whole time. The DMC reference being someone who claims to have tea on her but doesn't know anything. The tough guy act being so forced being yet another Drake takedown. She calls out rappers for being too scared to beef with each other, so they have to take it out on women. The chorus is pretty tightly made. The ad-libs for emphasis keep it from sounding boilerplate. Verse 2's lines about 4 years was really savage. Her calling out the groupies, then responding to what I guess was Bigfoot, really bold. Figueroa is another slam track where she pretty much calls out her fake peers in the industry. The title is a reference to a street in LA notorious for having ladies of the night. Iggy Azalea is the main target here. I mean, the white girl on the internet dissing her with a black ghostwriter. The wordplay when she called herself a brat instead of a Barbie, like the imagery really works. The highlight has to be the chorus because of the way that she stretches out Roa in the chorus. The melody immediately stands out. Where Them Girls At is a return to Hot Girl Megan. This track is a club banger about sexual celebration and bluntness. The hook is sampled from another song. It keeps it fresh. It gives her a bass line. Pretty simple summertime jam. Broke His Heart is a standout to me. I see some people not like the production, but Megan's verse work here. Perfect mix of her braggadocio and honesty. The line where she says she likes girls and guys, both of them getting 8. Iconic. I didn't realize that she sampled a 2000s track from Jeezy. It's kind of like giving Rocky if he served. BAS, I did not realize stand for Both Ain't Shit. Pretty unique track because there's accountability for the two sides in a messy situationship. Both people are playing on the side. Kyle Rich jumps on to give the male perspective, and he actually holds his own against Megan, coloring in the story. There's a cool sample of Tina Marie's Out on a Limb, which it's a clever sample because it contextualizes the song while also giving it a haunting atmosphere. Otaku Hot Girl is probably the best pick for a new single. It opens with the voice actor for Yuki Itajori from JJK changing up a line from the anime to say he likes a tall woman with a big ass, like Grammy winner Megan Thee Stallion, a clip that he posted in 2021. This song is a lot of fun. The chorus, she name drops Gojo. She builds a sick rhyme scheme off that one line. She goes full weeaboo on here, and the shamelessness is what makes it work. Sexy jutsu, I feel like Naruto. I'm not finna argue with a Sasuke Avi. only she could make this work. The last thing I expected to hear on an album was something about Sasuke's Sharingan. Megan has always been a fan of anime, it's been apparent, so to see her build a song around that is pretty sick. Find Out is the first sort of forgettable track for me just because of its placement. It's a play on the F around and find out statement. The production's good, but it's nothing to write home about. Boa was a single for good reason, the clever sample of my favorite underrated Gwen Stefani track, What You Waiting For. That works especially, the whole use of the TikTok metaphor in the chorus. It's a really fun juxtaposition of her calling out her rivals for going pop, while also using pop in the track herself. The Time's Up metaphor and the melodic womps along to it prove that Megan knows her way around a beat. The TikTok is also probably a reference to the app, which is ironic considering Savage did blow up on there and sort of gave her the momentum that she needed, but she doesn't really need it anymore. Mamushi is a hard lean towards Japanese music, even bringing in Yuki Chiba. I really wanted to like this one, but it's a little too messy for me. Chiba's part really takes me out. I feel like he could have been used more sparingly. Likewise, Megan's pronunciation sounds fine. It's just a little too much to give Chiba a whole verse. The English hook's pretty simple. It works pretty well, but it's one of the outright misses for me. Accent features Glorilla, who opened for her Hot Girl Summer Tour and was amazing on it. Wonderful performer. I thought this one was a highlight because both artists really seem to gel well. Megan gets to do her thing using double entendres and saying that her ass is thicker than her Texan accent, making a joke on that. Glorilla herself has a Memphis accent, which is really prominent, and she employs it to maximum effect. It's a pretty good collaboration. Paper Together was my initial standout. The late Pimp C's verse, which remained unused for many years, feels both respectful and timely. Megan is a true talent for being able to jump on this beat. The Infinity Stones joke really stood out to me. Juicy J's production, on top of all of this, it's a bop. Juicy J is a wonderful producer. Spin's definitely for the R&B fans, featuring the newly minted Grammy winner Victoria Monet. This is a breezy, fun crossover collaboration where Megan's harsh, icy delivery contrasts Victoria's really warm and melty chorus. Megan really channels her Tina Snow persona to the max effect. I was surprised that Victoria pulled through with a bridge. It really makes the song feel way more complete. Downstairs DJ, self-love anthem in a literal way. This track was sort of the most redundant and self-indulgent. I hate to say it. The wordplay is solid. There's a cute shout out to Doja Cat, but beyond that, the song felt like a parody of what a Megan Thee Stallion song would sound like. Like if you asked an AI to kind of write a Megan Thee Stallion song, they would write something similar to this, but less fun. Miami Blue is the final collaboration featuring Big Crit and Buddha Bless on the production. Solid track. Megan's bars remain sharp, concise. Big Crit makes the most of his time, but this song gets lost in the shuffle. That's the problem with long track lists. Even good songs tend to get lost, especially if they're placed in between different tracks that take away the attention. Worthy is a song I called out earlier because it's one of the more unique tracks. That doesn't necessarily make it a better track, but it does make it something of a standout, something that you have to listen to. The cadence where she raps over this pop rock beat is very varied. The pre-chorus was a loop for me because I never knew what she sounded like properly singing. I think she's well aware of her limits, and she has a pretty cool low register. I like the way that the words flow together. The chorus is elegant and simple. This is the most pop I've ever heard from solo Megan. It's a fun experiment, and I'd like to see her kind of go further with it, but I'm not sure it's the sound that she should be going for. Moody Girl sees her go pretty deep in her feelings, even prefacing it, saying real sad girl shit. I think that it's a dark confessional, speaking to partying as a coping mechanism, being upset, being seen as a support friend, never getting the help back. Fully relatable. I understand you. I see you. Verse 2 has her ask a bunch of tough rhetorical questions about people who assume things about her, and then she puts her foot down saying that the only thing that's getting head tonight is her pillow. She's done. Cobra is a perfect closer because by the time the guitars come in, it really does feel like a proper reintroduction, resurrection moment of Megan herself. It feels like a recap of everything that's happened in the record and to her so far, from her mental struggles to the feelings of betrayal, which are real. Yet she stands resilient and ready to strike when needed. The outro really feels like a proper credits rolling moment. I just love how the guitars take us out. Overall, Megan is probably her best full-bodied work to date. I had a lot of fun with it. I don't think that her potential has been fully realized just yet. It's a proper step forward for her. I'd give this a very solid 7.4 out of 10. Seeing her live and hearing this record very closely together this month, I am definitely now a big fan of hers. She's got a solid base, and she's free now, so I'm really wondering where she goes from here. I can't wait to see where her direction goes. She can drop music whenever she wants, so So we could get a new album in 6 months, maybe a year. That's the best part about being indie. If you can afford to be indie. Not everyone can do it. No shade. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much. This was a really quick and dirty review. I just really had to put my thoughts out there. A couple of you asked me what I thought about Megan. I listened to the record. I saw her live. I think she's actually really brilliant. I just feel like there is a lot of room for growth, which is kind of what you want from an artist. I feel like rooting for an artist is like wanting them to continuously grow. I want to give a quick shout out to my subscribers. Thank you so much for sticking with me, new, old, whether you've been here from day one or you just hit subscribe today. Thank you so much for, supporting my channel. To my members, thank you so much for taking the extra step and being a member to this channel. I don't have much of you, but I appreciate every single one of you. Comment below what you thought about Megan. Let me know what you thought about it. Good, bad, ugly, and then and stay tuned. There are way more videos coming.